Other interesting political news, the Department of Justice will charge the Tesla attackers as domestic terrorists, and then they just all happen to be leftists. I'm sure that's a coincidence. Of course it's not. Now, this is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness on X, in which he says, quote, breaking, the Department of Justice charges 3 suspects for 3 separate Tesla attacks, with each facing 20 years in prison, which quite a few to say the least. And spoiler alert, they are also big supporters of the blue hair dye community, which, again, talk about a lost business opportunity. The past 10 years, when I think of what businesses have grown the most, people who make purple, blue, and pink hair dye and flags, they're doing great. I mean, you can't go on a college campus without seeing a couple different, dozens and hundreds of folks like that. Now, bring up the actual document. They say, quote, the days of committing crimes without consequence have ended, said Attorney General Pamela Bondi. She says, let this be a warning. If you join the wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, the Department of Justice will put you behind bars. One defendant, also armed with a suppressed AR-15, which that's pretty rare. In the United States, it's very much a controlled, I was about to say substance, a controlled material or controlled object. In the United States, thanks to the dictatorial laws or tyrannical laws of the NFA Act or the National Firearm Act of 1934, in order to buy a suppressor, you have much more paperwork. Not only do you have to have photos taken like you're a prisoner, you also have your fingerprints taken, and you also have to buy it, which with the U.S. Treasury $200 fee, that process as an individual usually takes a couple months. If you do it through a trust, as an individual, it could take a couple weeks. So I suspect this would be most likely homemade, since they're pretty darn easy to make at home. I won't say how, but yeah, you could pretty easily make it at home. So I would suspect this person manufactured their own, but that's beside the point. They're also arrested after throwing approximately 8 Molotov cocktails at a Tesla dealership located in Oregon. Another was, let me pull up these deranged psychopaths on the screen for you, so you can see them, which I guess in contrast, I actually look pretty handsome compared to them. There we go. And they say another was arrested in Loveland, Colorado after attempting to light Teslas on fire with Molotov cocktails. The defendant was later found in possession of materials used to produce additional incendiary weapons. In Charleston, South Carolina, a third defendant wrote profane messages against President Trump around Tesla charging stations before lighting the charging stations on fire with Molotov cocktails. Each defendant faces serious charges carrying a minimum penalty of 5 years and up to 20 years in prison. Now, I'm sure these pieces of crap are actually surprised they're being charged because, again, all this stuff also happened under the George Floyd Summer of Love riots, though instead of attacking Tesla dealerships, they were attacking businesses and causing $2 billion in property damage. And yet Democrats basically let them all off the hook. Now, this went pretty viral. Got 1 million views as well as 30,000 likes. And one of the top comments comes from Democrat Media TM saying, quote, notice how they all fall of a certain mindset and type, i.e. trans and Democrats. Lock up these terrorists, they're a cancer of society. He had 405 likes. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, making a loud statement and give them all 20 years, getting 774 likes. Paul Zupa says, prison won't be fun, getting 76 likes. American Wiseman says, quote, keep going, round up these ringleaders. That's gotta be Photoshop. It's George Soros's son, as well as Jasmine Crockett, and he has a comically large bow tie. They got 163 likes. Let's see here. Ben River Forever says, quote, I like this idea a lot. Send them to Venezuela. And Trump floats, this is an article that says, Trump floats foreign imprisonment of American criminals who are repeat offenders, which, not a terrible idea. Or you could send, where's somewhere worse than Venezuela? Perhaps you could send them to Mexico or Canada. Gotta live under that tyrannical government. Got 137 likes. Though, again, there is a rule in the United States against cruel and unusual punishment. Forcing someone to go to Mexico may very well fall into that category. Perhaps. Scrolling down more and more, you have a couple folks pointing out all the recent shooters were trans. Jerry Memes, or Memes, says, quote, before they were shut down, asylums housed the woke. There's a picture of an insane asylum. It got 117 likes. Sean Farish says, quote, more of this, the harsher the consequences, the less likely it is to continue. Make examples of these people, getting 682 likes, which, yes, is true. These people have been incentivized with lawlessness and basically no consequences for years. If they actually face consequences for once in their life, it's going to decrease the action. It is also hilarious how stupid these people are. You're damaging a Tesla, which they have more cameras on them than sometimes a small business has. The evidence is there. Mika says, quote, I just opened my Merriam-Webster and looked up mental illness, and this photo came up, and it's the gentleman who has a picture of, it's one of the gentlemen who's arrested, well, not gentleman, the scum that's arrested, who has long blue hair. looks like to be a collar choker and necklace and lots of makeup, like 18 pounds of makeup, getting 123 likes. Yeah, Chicago Race saying, quote, keep them in jail, no bond and life in prison, getting 108 likes. Which, yeah, life in prison, they're not going to get charged with that. Mad Bull American says, quote, remember when we were vandalizing Bud Light distributors during the Dylan Mulvaney debacle? Oh, wait, we didn't. Getting 281 likes, which, yeah, the tolerant left, which ironically, I call them that ironically, they say they're tolerant, and yet they're the ones burning down, Tesla dealerships and graffitiing them and causing all the chaos. Which again, when there's a Bud Light, whole fiasco, guess what conservatives just did? They just didn't buy it. They bought the competition. Yangling grew like a weed. I wish I could invest in that, but they're privately held. Yeah, they just bought the competition. They had Kid Rock destroy Bud Lights by shooting his own personal property, where he shot Bud Light cans. But did you see any violence? Yeah, no. Madam B says, quote, imagine spending 20 years in prison just because you don't like someone, getting 202 likes. Yep. The best meme of all. Brian Bliss has a picture of a person with a rainbow t-shirt and says, I love my Tesla. Then they watch CNN and CNN says, Elon is Hitler. And then the person, and of course, I forgot to mention, this caricature of a person has short blue hair, of course. And then they light the Tesla on fire. Which, yeah, that meme is going pretty viral and pretty enigmatic of the situation. And yeah, we'll see. Again, rough times for Tesla. For once, I'm glad I'm not a shareholder. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how many of these charges actually stick. And will we have a ripple effect where people start to see, oh, wait, there's real consequences for my actions? Maybe they'll stop. Hopefully they do. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comments. Great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.